What if this moment was the beginning of something greater? What if change was not something we waited for, but something we created together? Today, we are not just attending an event, we are stepping into transformation. Transformation matters to us. It is a constant, but one thing stays the same. IDB Global Federal Credit Union is safe, sound, and secure, evolving to better serve you. Welcome to our 64th annual meeting, where the future belongs to those who think, feel, and act with intention.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Marilyn Wagner, and I am the Chief Experience Officer of IDB Global Federal Credit Union. Hello to everybody who's attending virtually, and to this amazing room. Welcome to our 64th annual meeting. So happy to be here. So, before we get started, a little housekeeping, everybody. So I want to let you know that most of the presentation will be in English. However, there will be one section where our esteemed speaker will be speaking in Spanish. So anybody in the room who would like translation, we have headphones in the back of the room. Additionally, for those who are attending virtually, there will be closed captioning in English and in Spanish. Para aquellas personas que quieren escuchar la presentación en español, por favor, tú puedes imprimir o hacer clic en el botón donde dice More y puedes seleccionar Traducción en español disponible. Okay, we have an amazing program for you today, and we're so excited to go through this agenda. So at the top of the program, I want to let you know that we have opening remarks from Maria Valeria Zambarain, who is our board chair, and we're so lucky to have her, and she's right here in the front row. As well as our amazing CEO, Chip Lusk, will be going through our 2024 journey. Welcome, Chip. We also have an amazing fireside chat. So we have our panelists right here in the front row. And what's amazing about that is that our member experience is elevated for us. We want to make sure that every interaction, every contact center contact, every branch contact, everything online, you have the best experience every single time. So we're going to bring them up, and they're going to tell us the good, the bad, the ugly, the amazing, whatever in between, because without progress and without feedback, we cannot evolve. So I want to welcome our panelists. I'll introduce you to them later. Additionally, we want to hear from all of you. There are two microphones, one here and one here, as well as those who are attending virtually. You can put your questions in the chat, those burning questions. Now, they gave me these talking points that I'm supposed to say. Burning questions, did you get that fireside chat? I'm not a comedian, I try. We'll keep moving forward. After that, we're gonna have our Board of Elections, the results, the directors that were elected. So as you know, we had about a month full of elections. We had some great candidates, so we'll go through that. And then there was one lucky person, $1,000 richer today, who participated in the e-vote raffle. So big, great Wednesday for that person. We're also honored to have Alvaro Gonzalez Alorda here with us today. He is the author of Head, Heart, and Hands, a journey of personal transformation. He came to us to discuss, if you stay here in this box, right, there's never transformation. So let's talk about growth and how we can evolve in our ever-evolving times. Additionally, whoever's in this room will get a signed copy after the event. Okay. This is probably the moment you've all been waiting for. We all know that everybody wants to win the raffle, right? We know. Two prize winners, one here in person in the room, as well as one virtually. $500, two for $750, and two for $1,000. Now, here's the catch. There's always a catch. You need to be here at the end of the presentation. You can't escape, because there were about 2 people that left, and they didn't win last year. So you want to make sure you get that money at the end of our program. So stay, and those of you who are online, you're also held accountable. We'll know if you're on there. So now let's get started. I would like to welcome Maria Valeria Zambarain to the stage.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. I also welcome the hundreds who have joined us online and the many who are with us in person. And because we have quorum, it is my pleasure to officially open this year's IDB Global Federal Credit Union annual meeting. Before we continue, please join me in a moment of silence to remember all those worldwide, as well as in our community, who are suffering or are no longer with us. Now, I'm sure we can all agree that 2024 and the beginning of 2025 saw its fair share of challenges, a changing economic landscape, global uncertainties, and political shift have filled the last 16 months. In this context, our credit union has stayed strong with a solid capitalization ratio, adequate liquidity, a healthy portfolio, and continuously developing products to better serve the needs of our members. In short, it stays a safe, secure, and stable place for your money while maximizing its growth. Also, last year, with the support of the IDB, we revamped the look and feel of the credit union offices, turning them into a more efficient and welcoming space. Much of 2024 was dedicated to preparing for the exciting transformation our credit union is undergoing, bringing you better products, better services, and better technology. Chip will provide you with more details on the credit union's activities and performance on 2024 and what is coming in 2025. It is now time for our meeting's first agenda item, the approval of the minutes for the 63rd annual meeting. The minutes were uploaded to our website on May 8th and are available for your review. Vice Chair Sandra Darville motioned for approval of the minutes, and it was seconded by Secretary Jorge Roldan Modrag. The rest of the board reviewed the minutes and had no objection. With this guidance, please consider the 63rd annual meeting minutes officially approved. In addition to approving the minutes, let the record reflect that the credit union's annual report was made available to members on May 6 and can be found in our website. The annual report covers a supervisory committee summary, included internal audit activities performed by PV mayors and the financial report provided by independent auditor Doreen Mayhew. Loan activity summaries by the credit committee, a fiscal report by the investment committee, and a policy and benefits report by the Human Resources Committee. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to you, Chip, for your steady and thoughtful leadership. Your unwavering commitment and vision have helped guide us forward and ensure our continued success. To our employees, thank you for bringing your best every day. Your drive and enthusiasm make it possible to serve our members with excellence and care. To our committee volunteers, your expertise, dedication, and tireless efforts play a vital role in elevating our credit union to new heights. And most of all, thank you to our members for your continued trust in our credit union. Each and every one of you are pivotal to our ongoing success and the future we are building together. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria and Valeria. And Chip actually needs no introduction. And I had a lot of copy points on a card there, but I thought these type of messages come and are more sincere from the heart. So Chip has been an amazing leader. He is so dedicated to the community, this community that you see right in front of us here today. He has led us from the tumultuous times, like, in those valleys and those rivers, up to the amazing times where we are today. We are safe, sound, and secure because of his leadership. And I'm saying these words, but these words come from the leadership team who's sitting here in the front row, as well as from all his staff. Without his intuitivity and without his passion, we wouldn't be the credit union we are today. So it is my honor, my privilege to welcome Chip Lust to the stage, my friend and my boss.
Thank you, Valeria, and thank you, Marilyn, for those generous words. Kindness is contagious, and so it means a lot, especially coming from you. Thank you. Good afternoon and buenos tardes. It's a privilege to speak to you at our annual meeting on an annual basis. Before we talk numbers or programs, though, I want to start with something that's more important, and that's people. The success of IDB Global Federal Credit Union is about the people who make it all happen. Our dedicated staff, our committed volunteer directors, and you, our members. Every one of us is united in a shared mission to support the financial well-being of our global, diverse IDB community. It's a mission that motivates us and me every day, and I'm incredibly proud to be part of it. You're the reason we do what we do. Your trust in us, whether you're banking with us from Washington, D.C., or from around the world, drives our purpose. So thank you for being a part of this community. Now, let's take a look at where we are today with our results for 2024. We ended 2024 with more than $800 million in total assets and over 12,500 members who are in 75 countries around the world. And that's growth. That's meaningful growth because it's based on one thing. It's based on trust. We're also financially sound. Our net worth capital ratio stands above 12%, well over the threshold to be considered well capitalized by regulators. That's the kind of strength that keeps your money safe and your credit union secure. And despite the challenging environment of high interest rates and high home prices, our lending team delivered last year, funding 860 loans for over $65 million. And more importantly, we developed new products for you. For example, we launched a 5% down payment mortgage program to help members overcome one of the biggest barriers to homeownership. Our blended rate mortgage product option gave members access to below market rates, helping many buy or do a cash out refinance affordably. And when it comes to auto loans, our rates continue to be some of the best in the market. We also look at how credit cards can better serve our members. While big banks charge 22%, we lowered ours. Our Visa Classic was 12%, and now it's 11.25%, and our Platinum Rewards card was 14.5%, and it's now 13.75%. We believe your credit card should work for you and not the other way around. Now let's talk about deposits. We offered share certificates with rates up to 4.75% APY, our Kasasa accounts offering up to 5% interest or 5% cash back, paid out over $37,000 last year in rewards. And of course, your funds are federally insured up to $250,000. So your money is safe, it's secure, and it's also rewarding. In 2024, our credit union was recognized nationally. Newsweek named us among the top credit unions in the Washington, D.C. area. S&P Global Intelligence ranked us in the top 2% of credit unions nationwide. We're proud of these honors, but more importantly, we're proud of what they represent, and that is a continued focus on excellence. Really, the most important feedback that we receive, though, is from you. Our Net Promoter Score, a measurement of member satisfaction and loyalty, is more than 30 points above average. Our in-branch satisfaction is nearly perfect at 9.9 out of 10. And members consistently tell us that they feel valued, and that's what we strive for every day. Now let me turn to the future. In 2024, we began a major renovation of our branch, which we completed just a few months ago. If you haven't seen it yet, I hope you'll stop by soon. And if you usually are a virtual user of the credit union, then please come by and say hello the next time you're in Washington, D.C. We're also working on a full redesign of our website, our mobile app, and our online banking platforms. We want to make these faster, simpler, and smarter for you to use. That also includes a new virtual assistant we're going to call Globalito, who will be there to help you 24/7, 365 days a year. We're not just growing, we're transforming. And every step that we take is about giving more back to you in a better member experience. So finally, none of this would be possible without the support of our board of directors and volunteers. Their leadership and commitment help keep the credit union strong. Please join me in thanking them for their time, their energy, and their support. Thank you again for being with us today and for being a part of what makes us so special. We have a great show ahead of us, and so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Marilyn Wagner to continue the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. That was an amazing look back at 2024, and thank you for the highlights that are coming down the pike for 2025. I'm really excited and honored to be part of such an amazing adventure. Now, let's talk about transformation. I have three wonderful guests in this front row. We have a completely new format for our Q&A section. Traditionally, we've sat and we've spoken to you, right? We've told you where we are. Right now, we want to make sure that we're elevating this member experience. So we're bringing members to tell us about their experience. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Our invitees will give us a candid look at their experiences with our credit union, the highlights, the hurdles, and everything in between. Because without honest feedback, like I mentioned before, we cannot grow. We want to make sure it's a respectful and interactive discussion. This open and honest dialogue is something we deeply value because meaningful growth becomes into genuine feedback. Finally, we'll open the floor, like I said before, to our guests in the room. There's 2 microphones on either side of me. You'll see them. Please come up at the end and I'll lead you and you can please ask your questions, as well as to those who are virtual. You can put your questions in the chat. So, let me introduce my 4 members that are so excited to come up here with me today. Jose Pablo Riva, please come and join me on the stage. Leslie Stone, thank you for coming. Luc Briguet, thank you for coming. And we have a surprise. Malaika Mason is joining us from Jamaica. Malaika, are you there? There she's there. Hello. Thank you for being here today. And as we wanted to have this different kind of discussion, I want to thank you all for being here because we want to make sure that we give our membership here the opportunity to understand where you are in your journey with us. So, Jose Pablo, I'm going to call on you first. How does that sound? Everybody have a microphone? Perfect. So, what has been your journey so far with the credit union? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So my journey with the credit union started 10 years ago when I started at the bank, coming as a summer intern from Costa Rica. Have no accounts, no social security here, no driver license, nothing. And being able to step into the bank and they help you with the whole process. They make it super easy, and they truly feel like a family. They treat you like a family member, and they help you all along with anything you need. 10 years later, I have my mortgage, I have my car, I have
we lured you in.
Investments, I have everything you guys. So that's been my journey in a nutshell.
Thank you, and thank you for the team for making his experience a very special one. Are there any standout moments, positive or challenging, you'd be willing to share with the audience that you think that we could focus it a little bit more on?
Yeah, I will say getting that first mortgage. I don't know why, but I went to private banks outside the FCU, and the amount of scrutiny and information that they request. Venmo accounts for $10. They ask you why, what's that? And being part of the FCU, they make it very easy and flexible. Plus great interest rates you can beat on the private sector. So that's been a great option. Also, the flexibility that I can just go downstairs and knock on the door of any of the loan officers. They always help you with a smile, and they're only willing to also guide you through the whole process.
That's great, and we just want to emphasize so much that we understand our membership as much as we possibly can, because there's so many things that you go through coming from the outside, coming from another country, that probably the institutions of the United States don't understand that process that you have to go through. I want to open the floor up to you, Leslie. Thank you for being here. Tell us about a time that you've had with us that made you feel the most supported.
So I became a member in 2003, so I've had a 22-year journey here with multiple interactions. I would have to say Alexandra has been my very supportive mortgage broker.
Ale, raise your hand.
No, throughout the life cycle, right? So helping purchase the first, and as a non-G4 person, I have easy access to finance outside the credit union, but have always come back to the credit union because of the support given there from purchasing the first home, the car. But I would have to say that Alex, when I was going through my divorce and needed to refinance the home to purchase it, she was better than any divorce therapist out there. So I joked withAlex that
so here, the credit union, we offer finances and therapy.
Exactly. No, which is it's a huge part as a single mom. Alex played a huge role in helping me navigate refinancing the home and going through this phase of my life, and I'm very appreciative for that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I wanted to ask you if you could change one thing, and this could be either one of you, if you could change one thing about your experience with us, what would it be?
So for me, it would be just a suggestion on any product that has a variable rate, that's fixed for a certain time and then floats or changes across time, to improve the communication on, the moment that the rate is changing. For example, with the home equity loans, the rate is fixed for 1 year, and then after that, it adjusts. So just providing more communication regarding the rate changes to make sure that the borrower is aware of those changes.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Anything from your side?
In my case, the only thing I can think about is maybe expand the reward systems of your credit cards. Credit card, there's a lot of new things you see with Amex, with Capital One. They offer a lot of perks, and I think the bank could also benefit on expanding on those benefits to be more competitive as well.
Thank you for that. So Luke, as a retiree, I'm going to put you on the stand now.
Not sure if this is this on?
It's
Yes.
working. I can hear it's working.
So my background is that I worked for a few years at the IDB private sector department between 2001 and 2003. So I became a member of the credit union in the summer of 2001. And when I transferred to IFC at the World Bank Group in April 2003, I kept my account here. And of course, I also became a member at the credit union of the Monetary Fund Bank. But over all these years, I always thought that the service was much better here. They're catching up now, but I always thought the service was very good.
They can keep trying. But.
So I used all the classical products, the checking account, the saving account, wire services, but most and above all, the loan products. The loan department is amazing.
Thank you,
I
Mark.
used personal loans, I used HELOCs, I did a number of mortgage financings, and the team is just amazing. Very cordial, very competent, very expeditious. Alexandra and all the other team members, really great to interact with. And what I found very interesting in my case recently, I was kind of puzzled about what I'm going to do. I want to do another major renovation in my home, but I had this very attractive remaining balance on a 15-year fixed rate 2.25% loan. So if I take a new mortgage out in the current environment, it's going to be very expensive.
It's hard to give up, right?
Right, and I had a home equity loan that was at limit, and I wanted to refinance and add some capacity. So the credit union developed, and I thought it was very innovative, this blended finance, this blended mortgage product, which really helped to blend the original low cost of my previous loan and the incremental loan capacity I needed, and still come up with a very competitive rate. I thought that was amazing. Yeah.
Thank you, Luis and Marco, for bringing that product to the market.
Yeah.
So I also want to give a clap to the team, because that was really nice for you to say that.
Oh, I know Marco and the rest of the team over many years, so I always thought I felt at home here, even if I was not working as an active staff member anymore. But I'm very happy with the service. Yeah.
That's truly what we aim for each and every day. And I'm going to ask you the one question that you would say, okay, here's your area of opportunity. Is there something you think we should really focus on?
I'll mention two.
Okay.
International wire services.
Okay. What about them?
Very expensive. The rates are really on the high side. I think they could be trimmed a little bit. Otherwise, I think I took some notes here. Oh, if there's a way, but I'm not sure if that's impossible or very difficult, to develop some type of real estate loan product for overseas properties, that would be amazing. Even if it's on an unsecured basis or a second mortgage on the primary home in the US or something, that could be interesting.
That's great information. Marco, do you want to address that at all? You need a microphone because I have one right here.
Thank you very much. Yes, we would love to do a mortgage overseas. Unfortunately, we cannot perfect a lien on a property overseas, but I'm going to take actually your suggestion, and we're going to try to see if we can develop a product on a different way on a second mortgage on your property here in the U.S.
Very good. Thank you. Malaika, we are so happy to have you here from Jamaica. What a privilege. So
Yeah.
tell us.
I'm based in the Bahamas, actually.
Oh, you're based in the Bahamas. I'm so sorry. Well, we're still happy to have you here from the Bahamas.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm sure that your relationship with the credit union has been a little bit different, right, since you're not domestic here at headquarters. Do you feel that the credit union addresses your needs?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to probably draw on some of the other panelists' views. You know, I joined the bank 15 and a half years ago as a young professional coming in from the UK. And since then, I've rotated to 5 countries, you know, so from Bolivia to Bahamas and other country offices, as well as a time in HQ in DC. So I really have had, I'd say, a truly fruitful relationship with the credit union. And I know Alexandra has been mentioned before. She's absolutely fantastic, as is Marco and the entire team. It really has been a relationship that has contributed to my personal development as well as my financial support system as a single mom abroad, you know, doing all these rotations. But having that first account in the USA, establishing the financial footprint, has enabled me to grow my assets there, which is great. And sort of that great relationship with Alexandra was timely, enabling me to get good advice to refinance my mortgage there before the rates went up. So I did benefit from that sort of constant communication, which was great. A couple of other things. You've hosted webinars on tax management and investments, and that has been very good for me as well, enabling me to explore an LLC investment, which the credit union has supported as well. And I think, like the other speakers, the personal loans, lines of credit has allowed me to cover unforeseen repatriation costs, you know, like storage and emergency family support. So that's been really good. I would say the other things that I've been looking for, which one other good thing is the fraud detection system. I know it's sometimes a bit cumbersome, but it's been very prompt. I had an issue of mine on my debit card once, and the credit union was really great in terms of supporting the return of funds. So that's been exceptional in terms of the service. What would I do to improve? I have to second that issue of property purchases abroad. So in my home country, although I'm a British citizen, because I've not been resident there, means I'm not classified as resident and able to purchase mortgages as a resident. And I, you know, extreme stamp duty tax, you know, for not being, for being abroad, etc., and owning properties abroad. So in that case, it's really difficult to have a way of purchasing in my own home country. And so if there was ways to do that, that made it reasonable, then that would be great. I also have a young son, and I'm looking to see if there's products that can help him start, managing his money and saving with the credit union. So wondering about services provided for that sort of cohort. And very, very pleased to see that I'm an energy specialist and working in sort of, decarbonization and the energy transition in our member countries. So it's really good to see that you have a product on EV cars, electric vehicle cars, but what about solar investments and storage systems for homes? So interested, just making a plug there as well.
I see a lot of heads nodding in the audience.
Growing.
Yes. So we're going to get Marco's wheels turning on that one. It's coming. Malika, thank you so much. I do want to open it up to the audience. If there's any questions, I highly encourage you to come up to the microphone. And while I answer future questions here, and then also if there's anything on the chat, I highly encourage you to put your question in the chat. So one last question for each one of you. If you were talking to a friend about joining the credit union, what would you say about us?
I guess be ready to be part of this family, because it really truly feels like a family. Be ready to send a picture of your keys of your first house. Be ready to send a picture of sharing with your loan officer, with your banker, whoever it is, about your life, about your purchase. Be ready for that. It really feels warm. It really feels like a family.
That's a good thing. Thank you. Go ahead.
Sure. I would say the high quality products with fantastic terms, and I can give an example. I was recently taking out a mortgage, and they were offering a promotion where if a friend or family member opened an account, there was an additional discount or bonus. I forget what the promotion was. So I actually had my dad come on, and now he's a very happy member. He discovered, he's been doing his research online and is super thrilled with the products and the terms there. So I'm very appreciative for that. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Competitive rates and good products with Latin flavor.
Where's marketing? Marketing? That was perfect. I love it. So, team, are there any questions in the chat? Oh, Malika, I'm so sorry. What would you say about us?
No, great. I think I second everything I've heard. Love the client relationship. Just keep it strong, and that's what I would say. Is the real stronghold here. Good client relationship.
Thank you so much. And I do want to emphasize that actually all of you have said this, but you can extend your membership to your family members, and that is a huge advantage. Give your mother, your father, everybody, every family. We have Andres here, Andres Sandoval, who's our branch manager, that can help you extend the benefits of membership to all of your family members, whether they're living here or abroad. So make sure you connect with him. He's always there and a great asset to the community. So team, one more question from the chat. Can we take it?
Yes, we have one question online. Are you now offering mortgages for members who want to buy a house outside of the DC area?
Marco?
Yes, we offer mortgage loans outside of the DC area, pretty much nationwide. We have some exceptions in some states, but you can reach out the lending department just to see if you're looking for New York, Florida. Just come to us and we will work with you based on that.
All right. Should I give out your email? Marco.paredes@idbglobalfcu.org or Marco P. Thank you. It was such a pleasure having you all here with us. We thank you for your time and thank you for joining the panel.
Thank you.
So we hope you enjoyed it all as much as we did. Thank you, Jose Pablo, Leila, Luke, and Malika for your time and your questions, as well as for Marco Paredes for answering all the questions that we could, as well as the rest of the leadership team. So next on our agenda, and I'm so excited to welcome Jorge Roldan Modrak. I love saying that name. It's so forceful and powerful. He's the chair of our nominating committee, and he's going to announce the results of our 2025-2026 Board of Directors elections.
Thank you, Marilyn. Good afternoon, everyone. It is such an honor to serve as the chair of the Credit Union's Nominating Committee and a proud member of the Credit Union since 1990. And while I stand here alone, I represent the hard work of a team who deserves equal recognition. They are Lourdes Tellería, Daisy Andrades, Ignacio Barragán, Adela Barrio Sarmiento, Andrés Gómez Peña, and with the very strong support from Ingrid Garcia from the staff of the credit union. A special thank you also goes to our board chair, Maria Valeria Semborain, for entrusting us with the crucial role of selecting qualified candidates for the annual board of directors election. Also, my gratitude to our CEO, Chip Lusk, Marilyn Wagner, for putting this meeting together, and all the credit union team for their hard work and contributions to facilitate the election process. That selection process was a rigorous one. In early 2025, we began our nominating process by identifying candidates for 3 positions with 3-year terms. We carefully assessed each candidate's qualifications, skills, and overall composition of the board to ensure it accurately represented the broader membership. This exhaustive process is crucial for forming a board capable of providing strategic guidance and oversight in compliance with the Federal Credit Union Act and the regulations set forth by the National Credit Union Administration. I am proud to report that this year, 1,913 members voted. That is 20% more than last year. As a member-owned landed institution, our credit union thrives on the cooperative spirit demonstrated through our elections. This is your chance, our chance, to help shape the future of our great institution. So we want every member to feel heard. The board elections are a powerful way to do that, and we are thrilled with the engagement. Additionally, if you're interested in contributing further by serving on a board committee or running as a future board of directors candidate, please do let us know. We want you here. We welcome your participation and leadership. And now, what you have all been waiting for, the results of the 2025 Board of Directors elections. I'd like to point out that directors are volunteers. We are elected for a 3-year term. We meet monthly to review progress and help improve the performance of our credit union. The members elected to the board are Sandra Darville. Sandy, congratulations. Juan Manuel Fariña, not here with us today, but cheers to him. And Javier Jimenez Mosquera. Okay, now for what you've really been waiting for. The results of our e-vote raffle for $1,000. As you know, those members who cast their vote were automatically entered into the e-vote raffle. And the credit union member who will be $1,000 richer today is Juan Rim Silva. Not here? He'll get it anyway, along with love counseling. Again, congratulations, and thank you everyone for voting. We appreciate your participation. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Okay. Thank you, Chip, because I probably would have fallen over that. Thank you, Jorge, for all the amazing work that you and your fellow committees do for us and getting these election results. And Juan, I believe, is out of the office today, so he's going to have a great day back when he finds out that he just won $1,000. So, yay, Juan. Estoy muy contenta de poder presentarles a nuestro ponente.
I'm very happy to introduce Álvaro González Alorda, co-founder of Emmer Gap, He's also a professor at various different schools of business in various Latin American universities, and here as well. He's also the author of a very interesting book, Head, Heart, and Hands. Talks about how to align your thoughts and your feelings to achieve better growth. And this is aligned with our ideas here that we have, where we want to have a better impact. At the end of this event, you can pick up your signed copy of this book, and Alvaro will be with us during the happy hour if anybody would like to have a chat with him. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Álvaro González Alorda. Please give him a round of applause.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the Credit Union and Chip and all of you for this invitation. For those of you who are joining us from the entire region, thank you for being with us. I'd like to convey to you some lessons learned regarding transformations through the transformation of people. And I'd like to start by saying there are two types of organizations. Some of them are transactional in nature. They only provide services and products. And there are other types of organizations that sell products and services but are also transformative. They are seen as human transformation platforms. When I think about the IDB with its 3,000 collaborators, 12,000 members of IDB Global, and hundreds of thousands of people who are impacted by development projects in the entire region, I feel really excited to see the potential in this organization to continue to be a human transformation platform. And I'd like to tell you about some lessons I've learned these past few years as I've been working with leaders. Imagine the responsibility and the beauty that you have when you want to talk to leaders of various countries and support them in their transformation. Imagine what a beautiful responsibility that is. And I'd like to, from those lessons that I have learned, shared some ideas with you. Many of us who are here are part of the same generation. Some of you might say, are you sure it's the same generation? Yes, because all of us who are here today are part of that bridge generation that went from the analog world to the digital world. Maybe some of you were still little kids and you were distracted, and those of us who are older already had the weight of responsibility when we crossed that bridge into the digital era. But we are all fascinated with the possibilities of technology when it's connected to creativity. But some of us are also worried about what it means to be connected in this way. Now that we've crossed that bridge, we should reflect. We are, in our history, the generation that has undergone the most change. Never before has there been a generation that's had to learn so much in such a short time. That's us. And what actually happens in our lives is that we go from one storm to another. It's like the captain of a ship. Those guys that have those white beards, and maybe they go to a pub, and after a few drinks they tell stories about those storms that they've gone through. And we've all gone through storms, and it's interesting to sit once in a while between storms when those gray clouds are disappearing and think about the storms we've gone through in our lives. Some are very external, a pandemic or a situation in a particular country. Others have to do with our families, and other storms happen inside our hearts. Thinking back these past few years, we've had the privilege of working with leaders of 37 different nationalities, helping them through that process of transformation. And one of those stories is very fresh in my mind because I was talking to one of the people that I had the privilege of working with. And you'll understand why I'm not using a photo of this person, but rather this for security reasons, even though I asked him for permission to share this story. Some years ago, we began a transformation process with the leaders of a company. One of the participants in this program is this man. He worked for 22 years between the FBI and the CIA, first on the border with Mexico, working on very complex drug matters. And then when September 11th came along, he was sent to Afghanistan, Iraq. So he was in prominent positions in these organizations, and he spent years working in dangerous alleys in different countries. He's one of those tall, blonde, blue-eyed guys with a penetrating stare, a man of few words. And that morning we were trying to explain that there are ways to mobilize change in different people, in your company, your organization, even in your family. Incentives are used, rewards, but also punishments. I'll send you to a course, I'll give you an important project. But if that's the only currency you have to try to mobilize others, then people will give you this sort of energy. But when you inspire them through your own life, they will give you everything. It's a huge difference. So mid-morning, we were thinking back and reviewing what had happened. And this friend no longer works for the CIA. He works for a private company, and he has a position in the global executive board. And he's been there for years now. And when his turn came along, I said, "How do you feel about this?" And he said in very summarized terms, "I'd like to be an inspiring leader." And everyone turned around and they say, "Oh, now the beast." Everybody knows what he'd been doing, this guy who'd been eliminating targets, and now he wants to be an inspiring leader. "Why do you want to do that?" I said, "Well, I've learned enough about incentives. I know how to get people to do what I want, but I see that at this point in my life, that's just not enough. I'd like to be a leader who inspires." To give you some context, I asked him, "Do you have a family?" "Yes, I'm married, 2 children. His mother is alive." I asked him, "What is your purpose in life? What did you come here for?" And he responded, "To guarantee the security of the institutions I work for." Okay, yes, the FBI and the CIA did a good job, I thought. And I said, "Well, why don't you think about broadening that concept of security? Take it beyond physical security, more like the security of feeling loved by your family, your friends, so people have a safe place in your heart." And his eyes got shiny. I've been thinking that the human heart is a stringed instrument. We have it there. We store it in a refrigerator for a long time. But then sometimes you see that those strings start to thaw. And the only way to thaw the strings of a heart is through the presence of other hearts that are also playing their own music. So a human transformation is not an industrial process. You cannot transform 1,000 or even 100 or even 10 people. You can transform people one at a time. And I felt that something was happening there. So I asked, "Why don't you broaden that concept of security?" And he answered with such sadness, it really touched me. He said, "It might be too late." I asked him, "Do you believe in anything? That life that you have inside of you, that life that goes beyond the beating of your heart, that spirit you think is going to live forever? That life that is in you, do you think it's going to be projected throughout eternity? Do you think that?" He said, I think so." I'd never thought about that, but at that point, I don't know where this came from, but I said, if you think you're going to live forever, it's not too late to change. You're a newborn to this life. I was surprised, he was surprised, we were all surprised. And at the end of that day, when we were doing our debriefing, what are you taking with you out of this session? When it was his turn, he said, "Youth at heart, that's exactly what I need." And I'd like to go back to this concept of youth at heart, because it might be that you think it's too late to go through some of these transformations in your own life. So with this first idea, I'd like to connect it to some others that might help us think about what the transformation of a person means in the context of an organization. The first one is that our first challenge is the oldest one, and there's nothing new about it. It is the challenge of building a character that makes us worthy of taking on leadership responsibilities, whether it's on an organization or something much more important, your own family.
El segundo aprendizaje. The second lesson is that the capacity that we have to transform, and we all have a transformative role in our life and our surrounding. This capacity to transform leads us to the capacity to transform others, but the concept of a transformation is used in a very frivolous way. And first of all, I'd like to define what inspiring is. Not like you see a deer driving down the road in the headlights shining on him because you're very skillful in the negotiation or because you have a lot of knowledge of a specific sector. Nothing of that is essentially inspiring. Nothing. It seems to me that we live in such a superficial world and so based on sentiments that we run the danger and the peril of calling inspiring anything. Oscar Wilde, the writer, says that a sentimentalist is someone who wants to have the luxury of an emotion, of an excitement without paying for it. Is like someone that wants to go to the top of the mountain but on helicopter without going through the effort, and then the enjoyment of reaching the top of the mountain without the result of that effort. But the trend that we have in order to achieve rapid success, instantaneous things, also explains a very common trend in many organizations whose leaders are not capable of inspiring people and resort to inspirational sources, but people don't get excited with listening to these. This has been proven. I believe that someone inspires you when they move you to change your habits, the things you do. And the classic authors speak of negative habits and positive habits. For the first one, you need a certain effort to be made. For the second one, no effort has to be made. It is simply necessary to be led by this, and things appear in your life like color bubbles, like a dawn in the morning. What is necessary to inspire a person and to lead to that level of transformation? Think of your children, your husband, your wife, your friends, your parents. Think of your friends. Think of your colleagues, those that are surrounding you, those who work with you. How do I have to lead my life, live my life? What do I have to do in order to be sufficiently persuasive, in order to contribute to transform the life of someone else? The first thing you have to do is resort to your head. Question your head, providing sound, dramatic arguments for which it is worth our while to change something. Secondly, I would say that we have to be capable of going down, bring it down to the heart. And bringing it down to the heart means understanding how these overwhelming forces that live here, which are the passions, how do they work? How do they operate? A couple of weeks ago, I went on vacation to Chile. And do you remember that there was a video of a whale that eats up a little boy? Well, I watched that video, but I was on a canoe in Chile going to the sea exactly at the time and with a friend of mine. So who is going to be swallowed by the whale, you or me? Because it's exactly a repetition of what we read. We went out on a canoe on a beach in the southern part of Chile, very cold. And at the beginning, the waves are agitated, but once you go through after a certain line, you cross that line and you go into the ocean, the surface of the ocean, and the waves are huge. Wow. And so I was on the canoe, and all of a sudden I see a sea lion, a very small, 4 meters, but I saw him as the size of a whale. But I kept my balance. But then I realized that the overwhelming force that the Pacific has, if you compare the force, the roaring fence that the Pacific has, the one that you have in your heart, so force has a human heart, and that's unbelievable. And you have to touch those chords in your heart so that people will dare live a life of greatness. But you have to bring down your hands to the concrete facts, to a real transformation, to the real events. All those who are here in this room, none of us is involved, I believe, in manufacturing. None of us is paid by the force of our arms or by the capacity to bear weight on our backs. We dedicate our mind to many invoicing. Anyone who works with his heart and his head, it seems that it is necessary to have intellectual food. Those who work sun to sun, they eat a lot of food, a lot of calories. We need a good intellectual diet. Those of us who work with our minds, maybe 20 books a year, maybe 20 books a year. And someone says, I haven't read 20 books throughout my entire life, not even adding up those mandatory when I went to school. Well, it's the same thing. Just imagine that this year you will read 20 good books, and next year some more, some 20 additional books, and then 20 more books. And then in 100 years, what would you be? What would you do in 100 years after reading all these books? How would this work with your heart, with your understanding, your mind, your heart? It is possible that this might sound reasonable in your heart, having a good intellectual diet. Your heart might be considering this as desirable, but when you cross that line and you open the books with your hands, transformation takes place when you do it every day. And that mystery, head, heart, hands, is the one that we have to solve in order to move others in the transformation. In this process of following leaders of organizations, there's always a mystery. Who are you accompanying? Who are you supporting, a person or a corporate individual? Years ago, during the first session in mentoring with one of these executives, during that first session, we always call this your life history. What is your life history? Who is behind that character? Well, my grandparents, my parents, my background. So you get to know the person and then you can help them. And in that conversation, there's someone that begins by saying, well, the first thing that defines my hand, and he shows me a hand where two fingers are missing. It's a very small hand with two little fingers, and you can imagine the bullying that I was subjected to during my childhood. But that led me to studying. I hid my hand in my pocket. I got married, worked for a company, 4 children, and at the end of the conversation, everything moved me to do that because my 5 children, he said 5 children. I apologize, either 4 or 5 children. You said 4, so is it 4 or 5? When I was 17 years old, he told me, and the nonsense that you go through during the time in your life, I had a girlfriend, and she was dating a couple of boys at the time. So I quit with her. And when I went to quit with her, she said, you can't do that because I'm pregnant. Could have been anyone, but it was you. You cannot test it. Get a good life. She left, and she forgot for 30 years. But 30 years later, there was a night where she remembered this girl. And when he spent sleepless nights for several years, or for several nights, talked to his wife, and then decided to look for this girl, and it was already a grown-up woman. And she said, our son, I know he's in California, and he's involved in problems. I lost sight of him some time ago. And he went to look for this boy in California, and after looking for him, found him in jail. He had spent 9 years in jail. And so this executive tells me how this first encounter with a boy in that room where the family meets with the prisoners and what transpired. They have several doors opening up, and then he sees the boy coming up, and on his skin he had written the same, his biography, the crimes committed, the gangs he belonged to, everything he had done. His entire life was on his skin. And he said, I never recognized you. I was never with you. But as of today, I want you to be part of my life, and I want to be part of your life. And I only ask you for one thing. Keep it and comply your sentence. And when you come out, I want to help you reconstruct, rebuild your life. We will get an apartment, get a house, get a job. And he did well. He went to university, and he told me with the tears in his eyes, he said that he wanted to marry that beautiful girl he had been dating for quite some time. And when this executive told me this story, I asked, and I was really touched by this whole thing, so grateful, I asked him, how many of your friends are aware of this story? None. How many of your colleagues are acquainted with this story? No one. And so I realized that no one knows what everybody else is going through at night. We can have this then danger of not having the slight idea of who is sitting right next to us in the office when we come to work. In this work of peeking into hearts, there's some patterns that are repeated. Typically, what you find in many executives, first and foremost, behind that corporate character, what you see is an unbalanced life. There's a model that we use, which are the 5 rest, intellectual diet, spiritual inspiration, such as the 5 basic values of the stability of a person. Many people don't sleep, not barely 6 hours, when doctors say that we have to sleep 8. Sports, some are athletes, others sedentary life. Diet, you can find people not following one diet or the other one, but you find people having to do with different diets and different programs. Intellectual diet, more or less the same as a reggae singer. Spiritual dimension, non-existent. So that is a point of departure. And these are people with their responsibilities, outstanding responsibilities in their organizations, their families, their context. The second thing that you see is wounds that have not healed, but there's a beautiful thing in healing those wounds. But many people have not had with whom or how to heal those wounds. Deteriorated relations of people who haven't spoken to their father in 17 years, and this is a knot of their life. This is what blocks the strength of that heart, the conflicts through which we all go through. Very few friends, and this is surprising because sometimes we're surrounded by people here and there in social environments, but when you ask how many of these are real friends, Aristotle says that you can marry the best, the most intelligent, the most beautiful woman in the earth, such as the most beautiful man in the world. But if you don't have any friends, you don't know what human happiness is. You can't even touch it with the butts of your hands or with your fingers. And Kurt Cobain, who sings in Nirvana, tragically passed away, and he said an interesting thing about friendship. A friend is the one who knows it all about you, and even with that, he continues to be your friend. He knows everything about your life, and even with that, he continues to be your friend. These corporate characters have very few friends traditionally, and then deficient productivity. They work a lot, but bad. You know how, or you see how they use their tools, they take notes on the loose leaves, they don't understand how teams work, they work by WhatsApp groups, which is being in the digital Pleistocene. So the calendar is merely professional, their life is not there, their balance, their family. Well, then you see that they work a lot. So there is great wisdom in this. You want to come out of a hole, the last thing you have to do is stop digging. Because stop digging is realizing that the exit is not downward but upward. And when you look upward, you can start asking, why am I here? What's my purpose? A couple of months ago, I found an interview that was done to Chris Martin, the Coldplay singer, who said something. You wake up every morning, you realize that you live in a rock that floats in the universe. And I said, wow, a rock that floats in the universe. My knowledge about the earth is very limited. So the first thing I did was to study a bit. And the first thing I learned is that the earth has a perfect temperature for human life, slightly above or under, and nobody lives there. The second matter is that the earth spins around the equator 1,500 kilometers, so twice what the plane does. It is not to go crazy with your hair so that the hair drives all over the place, but we have an atmosphere that protects us. The sun is older than the earth, and the water that we have in the earth is older than the sun. It was brought by meteorites. Someone has been dreaming about this for some time, because this is a miracle. The earth is a miracle. And I believe that contemplating the earth as a miracle helps us understand life as a miracle. If you think of your grandparents that got on a boat, on a ship, one got on that ship, the other one didn't, and then your grandmother, and then they sent a letter to each other, then they met again, and then your grandparents and your parents and your life ends up being a miracle. And recently, when I go to places where we see the stars, I feel like stretching my arms like Leonardo DiCaprio, floating in the fucking universe. So I'm floating in the universe. I don't know who has so much interest or why they're so interested in going to Mars and the rest. They're horrible. All the planets are horrible. And Earth is so beautiful. So you live floating in a miracle in the midst of nothing, in a vacuum. There's such a symmetry between the beauty of the earth and the rest. that it is a profound questioning. And the beauty of your life? What is it used for? What is the use? We find a lot of people struggling with difficulties in order to describe their purpose. Young people come to companies willing to change the world, saving the Amazons, climate change, bringing diversity to the teams, and they have external causes that are really good, all of them. But in fact, I've never seen anyone finding sense to their existence only with external causes. You have to find the causes within your own heart. What are the battles, the causes that you want to fight for? So my suggestion, if you don't really know what your purpose in life is to formulate things in brief words, to introduce the word service, and to guide it to the people that have fallen in your short temporal spaces in this rock that floats in the universe during this time in history. Who are these? Your family, the close family, and the extended family, your friends. Today's friends, yesterday's friends, and the ones before that, and your colleagues. You work with them every day. So this is a part of the world where you can contribute to transform. And there's an exercise that we ask some people to do it. Their map of relations, draw this map from the inside to the outside. How many people know what happens in your heart, or how many hearts do you know? With how many people do you have simply social, corporate kindness because of the family, the place you work with, but you don't have no idea, and they don't have any idea as to who you are. Third level, with whom have you been distanced? And in the fourth one, with whom do you have a conflict? Some people, this exercise, some people, when they go through this exercise, it's really hard to them because they discover that there's only one person in their heart, they themselves. They are the only ones. And the transformation is from the inside to the outside. There are many things to transform in people, aspects of life expectancy, relations, productivity, competition. But I've never seen anyone that has gone through the effort of radically changing their way they work if they don't go through these changes in their way of being and living. And leaders have three responsibilities. One is the strategy, and we're all leaders in our family, in our context, in our team, be it small, medium-sized, or large. The first one is the strategy. The second one, development of people, the operation, the day-to-day. However, frequently, we find many people concentrated on the operation, and they don't have time for a strategy. And the development of people, they simply dodge it with human resources so that they will have a workshop or have a motivational speaker come. But that is simply academic tourism. It doesn't work. So the only thing that you have to say about the development of people is what you have learned in your self-development. And about this, I want to briefly share with you some ideas that have been reflected in the book that you will see and that I will distribute when we conclude. This is a result of 10 years, how to tell these stories of transformation in a certain way. So I thought that it was boring if we talked about this as a methodology, and so I created characters. I created someone who was the mentee and the other one the mentor. One is a Spanish girl. She's from my country, rapid as a squirrel, passionate, somewhat lost with a lot of thoughts, happy childhood, well-off, wonderful grandmother, a mother who becomes an alcoholic, goes through a crisis, goes to Spain, then she goes to Spain, and she meets Brian from California, someone from San Diego, someone beautiful, attractive, and so they go to live together 10 years after. They spend these 10 years in Boston, and after 10 years, Sarah is told that maybe you will be appointed a vice president next year. She travels all the time from Boston to Berlin and many other countries. I don't have any time to go through courses. So what will you do? A mentoring program online? No, I'm sorry. I don't like this thing of mentoring. I'm better when I do things in person, face to face. And Oliver is the mentor assigned. And he's a British guy, born in Windsor, trained, educated in Oxford, impeccable, elegant, demanding, very disciplined. And so Oliver has the luck to marry Valentina, a beautiful Uruguayan woman. They go to Punta del Oeste, buy a house on the beach. The dogs walk on the sand. And during the day, he has meetings with executives. And we know that Sarah is loose-minded, and so he sets goals, end up being professional, and they turn out to be human when starting as professional goals. And this is what they have. Leaders take on this responsibility of the development of their teams. And first they get involved, and then they bring in the people to get involved in a complete and comprehensive transformation process. This is a book, and then you will see some conclusions that I want to share with you. First, each one is responsible for their said development, then each leader is responsible for the development of their team, and this cannot be delegated to anyone. This is the first one. And this presentation will be sent to you just in case you want to go through it. The second one is transformation is not achieved by accumulating courses and certifications. This is academic tourism and not also listening to motivation talks. Thirdly, this is a process for the development of habits and building your character. Fourthly, there's an essential lesson to be learned, and it is that the quality of your intellectual diet determines the level of leadership. And if your intellectual diet is designed with algorithms that they throw digital garbage with short videos or formats, you can imagine the lack of depth that you can have if you don't feed your intellectual diet. And fifth, transformation hurts. It's just like going on a diet, having a training program, a demanding training program, and you have to know how to generate that pain in yourself and also in the others. But it is not a horrible pain. It is a pain that you can enjoy, just like when you exercise and the muscles hurt, but it is a healthy pain. And I conclude with a picture that reflects everything I've said with a small story. Deep down, the human transformation is that like the tree of life. It has to begin from the inside, the sense of purpose, the balance of life and relations and productivity and competencies and methodologies. And in some organizations, they don't grasp this, and they believe that transformation is just a matter of giving methodologies to an organization when the transformation goes from within to the outside. And I finish with a story that my father told me. My father, when he was a young lad in the 50s in Spain, he was a pilot. After the Second World War, there was a huge demand for pilots, so he became a pilot. And one day he came home, he landed with a German warplane, the Cota, a beautiful plane, and he landed in the middle of the La Palmera Avenue, which is a central avenue in Sevilla, a city in the southern part of Spain, just in case you've been there. So he told us like nothing happened. Landed with a warplane smack in the middle of the city? Yes. So how was that? Well, I was in the base. A mechanic arrived. He said, we have a new plane. Who wanted to test it? Who wanted to try the plane? And he raised my hand, and he said that there's a small problem. When you reach a certain height, the engine stops. But don't worry, because you have a lever. You move it several times, and then it'll start working again on its own. But engineering during the 50s, my father got on the plane. He started traveling all over the city. Everything was going well. And all of a sudden, he sees the avenue empty. People were sleeping, their siesta. And he said, I can do the best thing that I want to do in life by landing this. So he stopped the engine, and he planned to land on the avenue. He gets an old phone, called the base, and he said, I've had an emergency landing. And a lot of quotes, emergency. And so they send a truck to pick up the plane. And when the mechanic arrived there, can you tell me about what the lever, the system works? I'm the mechanic, and my father says, I'm interested. I want to know. You're not going to tell anyone? No, I'm not going to share the story with anyone. You see this shift, you see that it has a cable, just follow the cable. So my father follows a cable, and he sees that the cable is not connected to the engine. It is simply there, connected to something anchored in the fuselage. It is just a connection. So he says, can you explain this to me? It is simply a dock. And so the engine stopped, and we don't have the idea as to why this happens, but what we do know is that the propeller starts moving again. Nothing has to be done. So in order to avoid for the pilots to get into a panic and then deep dive, we tell them that it is that propeller or that shift. So my father understood that this had a very important mission to live up to. And when he told me the story, I drew two conclusions. The first one is why my father was always so understanding with the errors of his children. We're 7, I'm the youngest one, and we have a collection of errors, of mistakes. And he was always a partner. He always said, let us see how we solve this together. And so I believe it because in life he had done a couple of things in his life before that. But the second thing that I drew as a conclusion out of this story for my father is that life is much more interesting when we're daring, because when we're daring, we learn more and we learn faster. And I want to leave this with you this afternoon with this message of how to be daring. My father was daring, taking the plane, landing in a place that was forbidden. And I want to invite you that in this trip of transformation in which we're all participating, first of all, we need our heart full of youth. Let's fill it up with youth and not to believe that all battles are lost. That we embark ourselves fully in our own transformation, accumulating everything we've learned, which is a lot. Each one of us has its own history. And that we involve our own force of our heart, which is huge, to the service of our people who've been in our coordinates. And who are these people? The family, the friends, our colleagues. If on top of that you're lucky enough to work in a platform of human transformation just like the IDB, like Bit Global, with such an unbelievable impact in hundreds of thousands of lives throughout the region, take advantage of that opportunity. And wherever you have your perimeter of influence, which is huge, get involved in that trip, dive into that trip and enjoy it. And attract others. Enjoy it. And that is all. I simply recommend that you have a good trip. Thank you.
Atrevida, te voy a decir una cosa. Wow, transformation. We are responsible for our own development. That was an amazing message, and I invite each and every one of you to help us along in the credit union. Transform. Let's do it together. What do you say? Let's transform the credit union. Thank you, everyone. So let's end this program. Where is my Vanna White? We're going to do the raffle. So Juan is our human resources specialist. He takes care of our employees each and every day. And if our employees are not happy, guess what? You're not happy. So, Juan, welcome. So I think we're going to do 2 raffles?
We're going to do 2 raffles. First will be the virtual raffle. So everyone online gets a chance to win one of our 3 prizes, 500, 750, and 1,000.
Wow. So what happens if they're not online?
They don't win.
They don't win.
They don't win.
So this is a great Wednesday if we have 3 people that win that amount of money.
I hope so. Let's
Okay,
give
so they're going to deposit into your, of course, your credit union account, right?
Of course.
Not going anywhere else.
No.
Let's see who they are.
For the 500, our winner is Patricia Diaz from Chile. For the 750, our winner is Daniel Rojas from Bolivia. And our 1,000 winner, Magdalena Paz from the United States.
Wow.
Congratulations to our online winners. Really appreciate that.
That is great international representation.
Absolutely.
All right.
Worldwide.
So I'm looking at all of you right now. We have this little thingamajiggy. What do we call this?
This
The raffle box?
Our raffle box.
We're going to announce 3 winners here, so let's mix it all up.
And as you can see, it's clear so everyone can see what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's my name right there, isn't
There's
it?
no,
Okay, let me just take that one out real quick. Okay, so I'm going to open this.
There's no debauchery going on here.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Why is Chip's name in here 6
Yeah,
times?
Chip, you know you weren't supposed to enter.
Okay, right, so,
Got to watch him.
absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to mix it all up.
Zhuzh it all over the place. Get it in there.
Zhuzhy.
Yep.
All right, let's go.
I'm going to pull one out. Is that my name? No.
No, it's
okay.
not your name.
Our winner is Jose Tejera. Are you here?
José Arton Tejería, yo creo.
Tejera.
¿Eres tú? ¡Hey! Ven acá.
Pase, por favor.
Ganaste. Five,
If not, I'll just write you in.
100, $500.
Yeah, cómo no.
Okay, stay here with us, okay?
Sigue, pasa nomás.
Sí, ¿eres tú?
Sí.
Ok,
Yeah, all right.
perfecto. Quédate aquí, quédate aquí, quédate aquí.
Se queda aquí nomás.
Quédate aquí conmigo. I don't bite, I promise. 52 years with the credit union.
Wow, that's,
All right.
Hold on, that's a pause.
All right, Juan, I think you should pick this one.
All right, let's go.
Tengo que decir una cosa.
Dime.
Son 52 años y 6 meses de miembro de la
Y
cooperativa.
6 meses. Felicidades. Pero no quiere quedarse conmigo. Okay.
Okay.
$750. Mayra Nava.
Come on down.
Felicidades.
Muchas gracias.
Paz.
Gracias, cómo no.
$750. Quédate aquí conmigo si quieres. Okay.
No.
¿Se asustó?
Sí, te vas, sí, te vas.
All right.
All right,
One more, go.
last one. Here we go. Let's get that one in the bind. Let's move this around. Let's see this one. Okay.
Ooh, Heather
Heather
Bernard.
Bernard.
Woo! Heather is $1,000 richer today. Congratulations, Heather. So happy to have you here with us. All right, see, you got to be in it to win it, guys. So
Yes.
thank you. Can we do a quick picture with all of you?
Yes.
If you don't mind? Yeah. Come and join me up here. Uy, cuídate. Él tiene miedo. Thank you, all of you, and congratulations. Can we have your cards real quick? All right, my Mr. Vanna White did an amazing job. Thank you, Juan. And Chip, take us home.
All right, congratulations to our newly elected directors. Sandy's representing, Juan Manuel and Javier is our newest director. We're so happy, looking forward to working with you over the next 3 years. Congratulations to our winners. And with that, I also want to say thank you for a couple of people who did a lot of hard work. In particular, Marilyn, Sylvia, and Juan on our team. IDB team, we had Sylvia, Karen, Danielle, Luis, Joel, and Jorge, who are behind the scenes and doing an awesome job. Thank you very much. I want to personally thank our board of directors for your support. And as we conclude the meeting, after we adjourn, we are going to have a cocktail reception just outside the meeting room here, so please stick around and join us. And with that, our 2025 64th annual meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.